So we're just going to pick up where we left off earlier. So here's the gas mask. And the open end here, the open end was fitted with a sponge that was moistened with water to serve as a trap for the smoke particles and to cool the air which entered the tube. And so the metal tube inside the hood here ran from the mouth of the user to a ball valve, which is at the top right here. All right, at the top of the hood. And so when the user exhaled, the force of air raised the ball from its seat so that the exhalation could escape. When the user inhaled, the ball was drawn tightly against the seat and smoke prevented from entering the hood. All right, and so this is what he called breathing device, but what we know as the gas mask, which was used, during World War One. So how amazing is that he came up with this out of the concern for his employees and hearing about all these terrible fires and events that were taking place, that he made a gas mask so that not only people, firefighters could be able to save more lives, but chemists and engineers and people could also, use this when doing their work without inhaling flammables and dangerous chemicals. So I just think that is just amazing. And so one of the things, reason why he's a businessman is because he was able to use the money that he was doing from the refinery, the hair refinery shop, as well as the clothing manufacturer, to fund his other inventions, right? So talk about a businessman. And so not only that, but after this invention came out, he began to market it. So he was basically his own PR and marketing person. He traveled to overseas to several international exhibitions where he received, notoriety for his invention. During the time here in the United States, of course, he had to travel with a white male, and he played the part of an Indian, right? Because during that time and era of Jim Crow, there was racial divide discussed that would not allow him to be the face of his invention. And so there was a white male that traveled with him in the South, but he was still able to, to exhibit his product. And so I have here some information from a source that I'm going to read to you, right? About what they were saying about his product, about all the different reviews and stuff that he was getting. It's so exciting. But before I tell you that, I would also like to have you to know that in 1912, he and some other prominent businessmen in Cleveland, Ohio, they formed together the National Safety Device Company as a public corporation, and they offered shares on the gas mask that he invented, right? And so the stock was for an initial price of $10 a share is what it was. And so within 5 years, it would rise to $250. Yeah, he had it like that, Mr. Morgan. Garrett Augustus Morgan. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is more to this man's story than what you have been told about this traffic light and this gas mask. He was a businessman, okay? All right, and so here is just some of the testimonials about the gas mask that he invented, which I think are absolutely amazing. From Akron, Ohio, Fire Chief J.T. Metz, who was in the habit of carrying a couple of Morgan safety hoods in the car, right? So here's what he said. He said, "What is the use of fighting fire all night when you can do the work in 15 minutes? 2 men equipped with the Morgan helmet and a good fire extinguisher can accomplish more in 15 minutes than a whole company can in the next 30 minutes. I have used the Morgan helmet in my department for over a year, and it has given me great satisfaction in assisting me in saving human lives and property. And I am sure it has saved our city many $1,000s, right? So that is just awesome. And then here's another review that I'll share with you from J.J. Mukwege, I don't know how to pronounce that name. He was the fire chief of the city of Yonkers, New York. And so what he said is, in a competitive test made at our headquarters Saturday, September 15, 1914, between another make and the Morgan National Safety Helmet, the other make demonstrator remained in the gas and smoke-filled room for 14 minutes. And the Morgan demonstrator remained in the same room for 25 minutes. And when he came out, he did not seem to be at all uncomfortable. We tried them both, and we all prefer the Morgan helmet. And I immediately placed an order for 6 Morgan helmets upon the merits of the helmet and its demonstration at a price of $25 each for general use in our department. So how amazing is that, right? So he's touring, overseas, and people are hearing about this wonderful gas mask, his product. Fire departments all over the world are, hey, we want this product. And so business was booming. Business was good for Mr. Morgan, right? And so this is just this is one of those to me, the very important story that we don't typically get with a lot of our historical figures. So I would dare not leave that out, is what people had to say about his product, right? And so there was an incident that had occurred in Ohio on July 25th. I believe it was 1916. Yes. There was an explosion in a tunnel there in Lake Erie, which was, and it was about 250 feet deep, right? And so, they were down there working, and all of a sudden there was an explosion. And so there were teams that, tried to go in and save the people that were down there, and they were unsuccessful. And they called Mr. Morgan. They were like, hey, let's call for that guy. He lives here in town that has the gas mask. And so Mr. Morgan received 3 calls about 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 different calls about the incident. And one of them happened to be the mayor of the town. And so Mr. Morgan, he immediately got up. He was in his pajamas. He called his brother and another neighbor to come with him. And so they rushed there to the scene where, Mr. Morgan, of course, donned on his mask, and he asked for other volunteers, for which nobody that was there was willing to put it on and to go in with him, because they did not, some of them did not trust the mask, after their failed attempts of going in there, right? So, Mr. Morgan's, his brother, and his neighbor, they stepped up. And so the 3 of them, they went down and they were able to rescue several men. I believe they brought up 3 to 4 that were alive, and the rest of them were dead bodies. But they were able to go down there successfully and pull people out, okay, with the use of the product that he had created. One of the men that he had saved was the superintendent of the tunneling project. And when they brought him up, they were trying to use a pulmoner, was what they called it at the time, to resuscitate him, but they said it wouldn't be wise to do so. And so Mr. Morgan himself resuscitated this man. Yes, gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and brought him back to life. And how amazing is that? Not only was he a businessman, but he was a hero, right? A hero. And they soon came to find out that he was a Black man after this event had happened. That's when, it had hit the fan that, he was a Black man. And so they did not want to recognize him as a hero. What I have here for you is some of the headlines here, or one headline in particular, about the incident where he helped save the men that were trapped in the tunnel. And anywhere around here or anywhere do you see, Garrett Morgan sites. If anything, the only thing that they were trying to figure out was what caused it, right? And then here's another photo of Mr. Morgan right here, who is seen pulling somebody out, Okay, so he's our hero, right? And so, they did not want to recognize him because he was an African American, and they were concerned um, about drawing attention to, the city because of the KKK and all the things of that nature. So they avoided recognizing him. And so Mr. Morgan, he was not satisfied with that. He was not happy by that. And so what he did was he wrote letters. And he had a newspaper at the time as well, y'all. Oh, I'm going to feel so bad. I will, but he had a newspaper. He started a newspaper. And so he had wrote in the newspaper, questioning why. He asked 3 questions as to why he was not recognized and things of that nature. And so, in response to that, what the Carnegie Hero Fund um, replied was, while the act performed by Mr. Morgan is commendable from the facts at hand, it does not appear that it was attended by an extraordinary risk to his own life, and for this reason, his case, I regret to say, does not come within the scope of the fund. And so they were recognizing white men that were afraid to even go back down in there once Mr. Morgan arrived with the gas mask. They were recognizing people who, after making attempts, they failed. But the superintendent didn't even vouch, wouldn't even stand up. And the mayor who called Mr. Morgan there to the scene wouldn't even vouch. They ignored it. And so this is just, the discuss of racism during the time and ignorance of, not wanting to recognize real heroes and contributors to American history. And so, after this, he was indeed recognized by his own people. Okay, by his own people. And so the Cleveland Association of Colored Men, they gave him a gold medal and honorary membership in the International Association of Fire Chiefs for his safety helmet, as well as for his heroic. Um, oh Lord, I can't. Sorry, y'all. I don't know why I keep thinking. As well as for his heroic act. Okay. Not only that, but the NAACP recognized him as well. And so there was a big ceremony at the St. John's AME Church there in Cleveland, Ohio, where he was recognized by for his act. And so I didn't go into too much depth about just the whole fiasco of how they tried to throw shade at Mr. Morgan, trying to say that he was a opportunist and all that kind of stuff. They called him at 3:00 in the morning, y'all, because they tried and they failed and still didn't want to recognize him. And so I think, even that speaks to a lot, but I don't want to give that my energy. What I want to give the energy is that, this man was awesome. He was incredible. And not only that, but after this had occurred, he did get the patent for the gas mask. It was used during the war of World War I. And so later, after that, because he ended up losing business once they found out that he was African American. So he just moved right along, continuing to create, and he came up with the traffic signal, right? The traffic light. And so, it was said that after seeing a car accident, between a buggy and an automobile. And also, by the way, he was the first African American that owned an automobile there during that time. So after seeing that, he was like, okay, well, if we had this traffic signal, there wouldn't be this. So The invention that he came up with did not require a traffic policeman to be there, right? And so here is the patent for the traffic signal here, okay? And so it had three positions: the stop, go, and an all directional stop for vehicles to allow pedestrians to cross in safety. His signals could operate 24 hours a day with a spotlight for nighttime use. And so after he created it, he sold the patent rights to his design to General Electric Company, GEC, for $40,000. Right now, being that we definitely know it's worth much more, right? Afterwards, however, he sold it for $40,000. He was a businessman, y'all, and so after that, he had health issues, possibly related to inhaling some of the chemicals during that tunnel, while inside the tunnel, as well as resuscitating, giving mouth to mouth to a man who had been down there for quite some time. That he received, or he got glaucoma, and had trouble breathing. But he continued. That did not stop him, and so he ended up coming up with a cigarette that would put itself out, right? With a little pellet filled with water. And how amazing is that? He just kept creating, y'all. He just kept creating. So he came up with the pomade. First of all, okay, he had nothing but 10 cents in his pocket. He moved to Ohio, right? He started his own sewing machine shop. From the sewing machine and shoe repair shop, he then increased his services to tailoring and creating clothing. So he turned into a clothing manufacturer shop. In trying to find something for the needles that would allow smoother output into the clothing, he came up with this pomade, right? That he then turned into a hair product and made other hair products and created the G.A. Morgan Hair Refinery shop, right? So it's just amazing. He used each invention and each business to support and fund his other inventions. And so after the pomade, he made the gas mask, right? And he saved lives and received international notoriety, and fire departments and people everywhere wanted this product until they found out he was a black man. But that did not stop him. After that, he came up with the traffic signal, right? And sold that patent to GEC for $40,000, right? This is your ancestor. These are the people that have built this country, who have tremendously contributed to this country. And it is a shame that the whole world does not know about them. It is a shame. And even after that, even getting ill, he continued with making the cigarette that would put out itself. And so Garrett Augustus Morgan died at the age of 86. But he was a pioneer, y'all. He was a pioneer. And like I said, I am extremely proud to have learned more about his story because, I've heard about it before. He made the traffic signal and the gas mask, yeah. But who knew that he was bad, y'all? He was a businessman. He was about his business. He didn't let nothing stop him, right? And so, this is the face. This is the pioneer. This is the man that started from the bottom, right? With nothing but 10 cents in his pocket, and had 2 businesses and inventions on that. And he was selling stock, allowing other people to invest in, his product that he created. And eventually, sold another one of his products for $40,000 back then. That was a lot of money, y'all. And this is your father. This is your ancestor. And so I am proud to introduce to you Garrett Augustus Morgan. I hope you enjoyed today's Sunday school lesson. Listen, I'm sorry. It had to be split. My phone, the it's full. Okay, the storage is full, and so it just stopped in the middle of it. And I know this Sunday school lesson was extremely long today, but I'm sorry. When I get excited about their stories like this, and it's very and the details are significant, I can't help but to share them with you because they are empowering. This story is phenomenal. It is empowering, and so as always, please share this with your children. Your children need to know this, right? Share this with your family and friends because a lot of us, because we didn't grow up hearing about these stories, we don't know. We don't know, but they are definitely phenomenal and empowering. Listen, tomorrow is Monday. I hope you guys have a productive week, and I will see you all again next Sunday. Peace.